Sorry, one of my stuffed animals fell over. But anyway, hi everybody, it's Mena. Welcome back to my channel. Or if this is the very first video that you're seeing of me, then welcome to my channel. Please be sure to hit that subscribe button down below if you didn't already. I post every day except for Tuesday and Friday afternoon sometimes. And today in this video, I'm going to tell you guys a pretty funny story that happened when I was on Zoom with my mom teaching, and she was teaching her class and she on Zoom, and she wasn't paying attention and forgot to unmute her microphone, and we all could not hear her and everybody missed the instructions. So this is a story just to let you guys know, if you're ever on a Zoom meeting, you should always make sure your microphone is unmuted when you're talking, because especially if you're giving a class over Zoom, because then everybody can hear you and stuff. So always just double check to make sure you're unmuted before you are giving instructions or going to talk, so then everybody can hear you, because with Zoom you have a way to mute and unmute yourself. So sometimes it's out of your reach to mute and unmute yourself, but you always should make sure your microphone is unmuted when you're trying to talk, especially if you're a teacher giving instructions. So I'm gonna get started, and I hope you guys like the video. So this all started about a year ago, and this was when everything was done on Zoom and nobody could be together during the pandemic, because the pandemic was like not known of how it was spread, not know how it was done, and yada yada yada. And so my mom was teaching on Zoom, and so I was helping her because at the time I didn't have a job, and I was on Zoom with her with 34 kids, and that's a lot of kids. And so one day my mom had to mute her microphone because I think she had a lot of background noise, and she had to wait until the background noise was actually all done or something. So she's giving instructions for something. I can't remember what it was, but I think it was like for a group project in a breakout room, or was it kind of like instructions for a school website or a learning program they had for the school. I don't remember what it was, but it was something, and she was giving the instructions, but nobody could hear her. And we're like, what? And we can't hear a word she's saying because she doesn't see this, but her microphone is muted. So I decide to try to send her a message on the chat on Zoom to tell her that her microphone's muted, but she doesn't unmute her microphone. Anyway, oh, I got a text message. Sorry, I'm distracted. And so she doesn't see the message, and she's still talking, and we're all trying to get her to realize her microphone is muted, but she doesn't see it. So all of a sudden, my mom calls my phone, and she asks, "Hey, Mena, did you hear the instructions?" I'm like, "No." And she goes, blah, 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 blah. "I don't know if you noticed this, but your microphone was muted, blah, 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 blah." And she goes, "What?" So then she unmutes herself, and she asks the kids, "Did you hear my instructions?" And they go, "No." She goes, "Nobody heard my instructions, blah, 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 blah." And we were all like, "Your microphone was muted." So then she checks the chat and realizes we sent her a message. She goes, "Oh," and we all start laughing, including my mom, because she didn't know she was muted, and we were trying to tell her she was muted the entire time she was giving the instructions. She goes, "I'm really sorry about that." And everybody in the class, including me, is laughing because we found it so funny, because we were trying our best to get our attention. and she didn't know she was muted until she called me, and we were just all laughing, and my mom was laughing too because she thought it was pretty funny as well. So then all of a sudden, after everybody has calmed down from laughing after a bit, my mom starts giving the instructions again over Zoom, and we're all like still kind of giggly, but we're able to focus now that my mom has her microphone unmuted. And so my mom re-gives the instructions, and this time she checks to make sure her microphone was unmuted, which it was, and she was able to give the instructions, and then we were able to get on with the activity that she had planned for us. So, and we were very glad that we all were able to get her to realize she was muted, and we all just kind of like thought it was pretty funny. So the moral of the story is, when you're giving instructions over Zoom, like if you're an instructor or a teacher, you should always make sure that your microphone is unmuted before you give instructions, because if your microphone is muted, how is everybody going to hear the instructions? So you should always just like check your microphone. If the line is crossed out, that means your microphone is muted. If there's no line across your microphone, that means it's unmuted. So you should always just check to see if your microphone is muted or unmuted before you're giving instructions. It's good to usually have your microphone muted when you have too much background noise, but it's just if you want to talk, you should always check to see if your microphone is unmuted. So always just be aware of that, especially if you're giving instructions, because if you don't unmute yourself, nobody can hear the instructions, and then you have to give them all over again. So always be aware of that. So that was a funny story about how my mom accidentally gave instructions for a project over Zoom, but forgot to unmute herself. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. I post every day except for Tuesday and Friday afternoon sometimes, and I'll see you in another video soon. Bye!